Why did you decide to get into coaching volleyball primarily?
I actually kind of happened into it. I really didn't know that this was going to be my career. But when I was teaching, I got a call from John Cook, who was the coach of Wisconsin at the time, and it was kind of in the middle of the school year, but they had an opening. He wanted a setter coach type person. I was very unsure if I would even take the job, but I interviewed and I really liked the idea of coaching in college and just coaching and not necessarily teaching with it. So I got hired, so it was just kind of falling into that position, but pretty quickly learned how much I loved it and that I wanted to make a career out of it.
What made you decide that? What did you realize you love doing this so much?
I just love just being able to coach volleyball. You know, it's a very demanding lifestyle, college coaching, but it's also very fun. You know, it's very rewarding. I love working with this age young women. I think that's really rewarding, and just the competition, the ups and downs of it. You know, the downs are of course aren't much fun, but the ups are really high and really enjoyable. So I just think for me and what I love to do, it really fits my personality. Most of the aspects I really enjoy.
What was the toughest thing you had to adjust to when you started coaching college volleyball? Stuff you had to adjust to?
Well, you know, my first couple of years I was so naive. You know, I really had no idea what was going on. I didn't really know how much coaches do off the court. You know, I think for me, you know, the adjustment of just understanding the volleyball, actual coaching volleyball is such a small part of it. You know, you're on the court 2-3 hours a day, but there's so many other hours. You are out on the road recruiting or just working on recruiting, scouting teams, managing personalities and managing people, the paperwork, you know, there's just so much more that goes into coaching a college volleyball team outside of the volleyball part of it. So just learning the ropes of all of that stuff, and there's a lot of it, but learning all of that in the first couple of years.
You spent 8 years at Wisconsin, correct? What do you think was the most valuable thing you learned there that you brought with you here?
I think I was just so fortunate at Wisconsin to work with such good people. You know, I worked with some of the best coaches in the country. I worked with John Cook, who is as passionate and competitive as anyone I've ever met. So I learned a lot about just being passionate about something every single day, even when you're tired or frustrated or disappointed, just still going out and working at something as hard as you possibly can. I worked with an assistant named Christy Johnson-Lynch, and she's a great mentor to me. She's one of the best recruiters in the country, and I learned about relentless recruiting from her and how much passion and energy and time you have to put into recruiting in order to be good at it. You know, and all the other people I worked with at Wisconsin, I was very fortunate. Working for Kate Wake for 6 years, a very generous man, just a very, very good person, and you know, I learned how to balance being competitive with the integrity of that you want to keep. So I think just been very lucky to work with great people.
How did the job opportunity for here come up?
You know, I think I first got a call from Terry Pettit, who was my coach in college at Nebraska, who has since retired, and I'm not sure what the connection was, but he knew the Iowa State job was open and thought I might be a good candidate for that job, and then got a call from Callie Sanders to discuss the job opening, and you know, I've been getting the itch in the last couple of years before I left Wisconsin. I was getting the itch to maybe look at head coaching, and you know, felt like I would just go on the interview and see if I had a shot at it, if I liked it, and just to see what happens. And I ended up interviewing and absolutely loved it. Loved the campus, loved the staff. I thought it was a great opportunity.
Well, volleyball's program's record before you got here was, I mean, nowhere would lose since you got here. I mean, why did you decide to take a job whose program had been down for so many years?
Well, this might sound strange, but I felt because the program had struggled so much, it was a low-risk situation for me. You know, I could go in and probably make them better. You know, I felt like, you know, I would at least be able to do that. I think it's more difficult, especially if you're going to be a first-time head coach, to step into big shoes to fill. You know, so I didn't necessarily want to go somewhere where, you know, they had won national championships and, you know, had tremendous success. I knew I probably wasn't ready for that, maybe pressure, that type of situation, but I felt like if I came here, I could make them better. and that was a big part of my decision. I also loved what I saw. I thought we could win here. I felt like I could recruit this area. I'm a Midwest person. I played in the Big 8, which became the Big 12, but I know the Midwest and have all those connections, and I just felt in so many ways it was the right fit for me.
What was it about the culture when you got here in the program that needed to change? Like, what did you identify as?
I don't think it was a bad culture here necessarily. There were some things maybe that, confidence-wise we needed to work on. But, when I came here, there were a lot of hardworking Midwest girls young women that loved the game of volleyball and really worked hard at it. So I don't know that we had to change any of that. I think we had some holes to fill recruiting-wise. We were fortunate to get some transfers in that have had a tremendous impact on the program. I felt I was able to take the setter that was here and really work hard at training her and allow her to play at another level, and just recruit well, and take the players that were here and try to train them as well as we can, hope for some good wins, get the morale up, and then kind of build from there.
I think most people understand how difficult it is to take a program like this from where it was at to where it is now, because it had to be really hard.
I think it was hard to get the program going. I think it's harder to get it to sustain a high level. Now that I've kind of been through both eras or both situations, I feel like it was incredibly difficult to get things going. When I first got here, there were many 12, 14-hour days, and you just put your heart and soul into every thought you have, everything into it. So that was very, very, those were a few long years when you're just trying to do anything you can to get that right player or to think of a better way to train someone. So that's exhausting. Now we're good. How do we get to be great? We're top 20 now. How do we become top 10? How do we win a national championship? That's probably more difficult than the former argument. But I think any coaching job, and it doesn't matter what level, it's very demanding. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of evenings. It's a lot of weekends. It's a lot of travel. It's a very personal job. We spend so many hours with these people that I think it's different from a regular day job, regular office job that, it's a very personal thing. You're dealing with a lot of emotions. You're dealing with college-age women who are going through a lot, learning away from home, homesick, grades, boyfriends, there's a lot tied into it. It's not that you just go to your desk and do your job. There's a lot of relationships built in.
Speaking of relationships, your husband Joe is part of the coaching program here. I'm going to start by asking us, how did you two end up meeting?
We actually met through friends, but we were both coaches. He coached in the Milwaukee Steam club program called Milwaukee Steam, and so of course they were one of the best club teams in the country. So of course I'm over there recruiting a lot of his players, and we had some mutual friends. So I think just being around each other a lot, we ended up getting to know each other, and decided, we just had a lot in common. So we decided to start dating and see what happens. And we just really enjoyed talking volleyball and have a lot of the same interests.
How much does it help having them with you here on the staff? Like, how much has it helped?
Yeah, it's been awesome to have my husband coach on the staff, and I think the reason is that I feel like, for me personally anyway, I have someone that I can ask questions or ask him opinions, and I don't have to worry about did he think that was stupid, or did he think that was out of line, or there's someone who's you can trust completely. So it's you don't necessarily have that relationship with another coworker or assistant coach where they might end up having a judgment of you, or that not articulating that very well, but it's great to have someone where you can say anything you want and know that they're not going to judge you. That they're there for good, they're there for life, and that you can trust them and have them. They can give their opinion, and know that you can trust that. He's also a tremendous coach. He's one of the best coaches I've ever seen. So it's not just that for me personally to have that on our staff, but for the team and the program to have a coach that I think is one of the best trainers in the country. That's a tremendous asset also.
You got here. How how many seasons did it take you to really get comfortable and be like, okay, I'm in the groove and I got this thing going in the right direction?
I think probably 3 years before I felt like, okay, I do maybe know what I'm doing. Those first couple of years, it was my first head job, so you wonder, okay, do I really know what I'm doing here? Am I really going to get this program going? For me personally, it took me a couple years to just be comfortable with the way I coached. Sometimes I would see other coaches and the way they behave, the way they act, the style that they coach, or maybe the system they have for their team. And if they're successful, you wonder, well, maybe that's how I should act, or that's how I should coach, or that's the system we should run. But over time, you kind of get more comfortable with your own style and think, I came to understand, okay, there's a million ways to do it. What's going to be good for me in my program. So I think probably most coaches who are just starting out their career go through that. After a few years, I kind of got really comfortable with the way I did things and had confidence in it.
Who are some of the coaches when you started here that you watched and looked up to? Kind of tried to learn from?
Certainly Bill Finley. I think he's been, just a tremendous leader. I really admire his passion and the way he does his job and the success he's had, and the crowd, the fan base he's built. It's been pretty cool to see and to witness. And, from time to time, I can go in and ask him advice, and he's given me very, very good advice over the past several years. So he's been a really great mentor that way. I wouldn't necessarily call him a mentor, but I would say he's always been there to give advice when it's been asked. I also have a great mentor in Terry Pettit. He was my coach in college. Very serious to talk to him every couple weeks, and he's really helped me make some important decisions. And he's great to bounce ideas off. He watches our team play on TV and calls me up and tells me, what are you doing here? Well, you got to make this adjustment or whatever. And he's a tremendous coach, and he's been a great mentor.
Before the season started, did you know that you were getting closer to the all-time wins record here?
I didn't. I just think I feel so overwhelmed all the time with everything I'm trying to keep up with. That's probably about number 120 on my list of things I'm thinking about. It's just, I'm really excited and grateful for that, and grateful for the opportunity that I've had, but certainly not about that.
What is having that record, though, going to mean to you?
I think it means I've been here a little while, that I've just been lucky to have teams that have won a lot, and I feel very fortunate that we've been able to get things going here, and that we have a great staff that's been consistent. We've had very little turnover. We've had players that have stayed. We've had very little player turnover. We've had players come and stay at Iowa State, and there's a lot of reason for the success, but I'm just grateful that I got the opportunity in the first place, and love what we have going on here. I feel like the administration has been so supportive, the fans have been so supportive. I feel like we have such a great thing going, and that's probably what it means to me. I recognize how much fun it is to coach here.